We've got to talk Lions 49ers now. NFC Championship in San Francisco is going to be an absolute dogfight. Hey, if you haven't done so already, Lions fans or 49ers, you listen to this right now, do me a huge favor. Hop over, hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. This is going to be a great game. This is the Lions, who have not been here before, against the Niners, who have been here a lot in recent years under Kyle Shanahan. And you could almost argue, I don't even think it's an argument. I think it's a fact. I think the pressure, Brant, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm out of pocket here, the pressure seems like it's on the 49ers to win this game. The Lions come into this thing, the last I saw, they were, the 49ers were a touchdown favorite. And I don't believe that's changed. I think that line will stay right around there. Look, the Lions, I don't think it's a disrespect by Vegas by all. I mean, the 49ers are a very good football team. They're here for a reason as the number one seed. Yeah, they had a dip for a few games in the middle of the season, but they're the top team in the NFC. Very similar to what we said when Michigan played Alabama and they didn't play Florida State. It was like, okay, you want to be the best? Go and beat the best. What did the Michigan Wolverines do? They went and beat the best. That's what the Lions are tasked with right now. Are they the best team in the NFC? I'm not sitting here and saying no. I am going to say you've got an opportunity to go prove it in San Francisco. We're going to get in here in a moment. We're going to talk about the matchup, what we like, what we don't like. But this is no longer a feel-good story. It's not. This is a football game that needs to be played between two very good football teams, and I'm beyond excited for it. So, Brant, I'll pose this to you. What are you seeing on both sides of the football here between the Lions and the 49ers? What sticks out to you? And not even necessarily as like a Lions fan or anything like that, but what just sticks out to you from this football game? What do you think will be some keys of this game?
So, Dave, a couple of the keys is first of all, let's address the 900-pound elephant in the room, which is the Lions secondary. It's been bad. We know it's been bad, and the Lions know it's bad. And who can't take advantage of it? I'm not sure the 49ers can take advantage of it. They're not built that way. They don't want to play that way. Deebo Samuel sitting there with a Q by his name could be a major factor in missing this game. And Deebo Samuel's not running deep routes anyway. He's a guy that'll run over the middle for you. George Kittle, he's going to run over the middle for you. Ayuk, he's their outside threat, but he often doesn't catch 40, 50-yard bombs. Ray McLeod, he kind of took over the Deebo Samuel role. They don't run him out of the backfield, but they sure do like to run him in the slot a whole heck of a lot. And he's a good football player. He's a punt returner, kick returner. He does all of those types of things. So I think that if you can find a way to pressure Purdy, so that's the second key here. You've got to be able to pressure Purdy, which Detroit has been able to do. Dave, how many times did we see a corner blitz last week? How many times did we see an outside blitz? And who was it almost every single time? It's either Brian Branch, which is 90% of the time, or CJ Gardner-Johnson. It's one of those two that they're going to be bringing the blitz with.
And, or Melifonwu, too. They use Melifonwu, too. Yep.
A little bit, but it is coming from all different directions, and you don't know when it's coming. They do a great job of disguising it. And the 49ers offensive line is good, and I believe that they are experienced enough. And I think this is something that is underrated in Brock Purdy's game, is he does actually a really good job at the line. He does a great job of lining up his protections. He always seems to have the offense rolling in the correct direction. He doesn't get, for as not talented as he maybe is, he is pretty cerebral. Like, he's a smart kid. He understands how to run the offense, and he does exactly what Kyle Shanahan needs him to do. Dave, we all know the X factor is Christian McCaffrey. That dude could either put 3 touchdowns on you, or basically 1 touchdown. I mean, he's going to find the end zone one way or another, it feels like. But he's the guy that you got to bottle up. If you can keep him under, let's say, 120 all-purpose yards, that would be a major win for the Detroit Lions. Dave, I have a simple question for you. I know you asked me the keys to the game. I have a very, very simple question for you. Who's the better football team?
Well, I think the total package wise has got to be the 49ers. I know that's maybe not what you were expecting me to say right there. Um, I I think that
No, but I respect it. I respect it
yeah.
because I just think when you look roster top to bottom, Dave, I know you know that missing a guy like Debo Samuel can be important, and that may sway it in the Lions' favor. But you think as a full football roster that the 49ers are the better team, and I can respect that.
I do because of, and we haven't talked about this yet, but I think it's their defense. You know, between, I mean, dude, when I go through the 49ers defense, and I will circle this back around to talk about some Lions here, but when I look at even their linebackers with Greenlaw and Warner, I mean, and they've been like middle of the road with stopping the run this year. But those guys are two. I mean, that linebacker room right there is one of the best in the NFL. I look at their D line. They've got Armstead and then what's his name? Kinlaw in the inside. Those guys are tough. Like we always talk about Bosa and like Chase Young and that trade. Those guys on the interior are tough. So now, I mean, you're talking about a very tough front seven, and you know. Ward out there as a DB as well, and I know Ambry Thomas has gotten burnt, you know, go blue a few times, but man, I just defensively, that's where I think it's huge. I think it's advantage 49ers, and I don't think it's particularly close in that sense. I do think though, I think the Lions are gonna be able to run the football. I think that they'll find some success with that. They need to find it early on, and I think that they're going to be able to do what it is they like to do. And I don't think this Niners defense is necessarily going to shut the Lions out. I think this Lions offense is 1000% legit. I mean, you want to talk about an offense that's better than San Francisco's, or at least passes the eye test that way. For me, I would say advantage Lions when it comes to the offense. But I think the advantage on defense is a little bit larger between those two. And that's why I think that the 49ers are a more complete team. Um, Debo Samuel, I will be shocked if he does not play. I know he's a big X factor right now. I don't know what's going on with that shoulder. I'll be shocked if he doesn't play. I think it changes their entire offense. It does. And I think that that's going to force them, very similar to what happened last week. They're going to want to throw Christian McCaffrey the ball. Not that they don't when Debo is healthy. He's a part of their offense there. But they're going to rely on a lot of those checkdowns. And I know people will laugh about the checkdowns, and that's what Purdy kind of gets hammered for. Look, I am not a Brock Purdy hater by any means. Do I think he's a top tier quarterback in the NFL? No. Do I think he's middle of the road and can win football games? I do. And you know what? Jared Goff has been labeled that as well throughout his career, and it seems to be working just fine. So I'm not on the, I would give the advantage to Jared Goff over Brock Purdy, but I mean, I don't think it's significant by any means. I do think that the Lions, just in the secondary, and Brant, you kind of alluded to this, they don't, the Niners do not want to stretch the field the same way that these teams have recently against the Lions, which is, sending guys up the sideline and bombing it up there. Mike Evans is torching you, and CeeDee Lamb is, and Justin Jefferson, and all these guys. It's not that Brandon Ayuk can't, or Debo can't, but they don't use them that way, and so it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more friendly for how this Lions defense is built, or at least for where their weaknesses are. I do think that's better than where they've been in the past, but yeah, it's going to be a challenge. It certainly is, but I think that on offense, I think the Lions are 1000% legit. I worry about the injury to Jonah Jackson. I think that's a big one. We know Frank Ragnow is dinged up. I mean, heck, everybody is, but I named who's on that defensive line for the Niners. That O line is gonna have to be the top 3-4 O line that they've been pegged as all year long, even with the injuries. If they hold up, if the offensive line holds up and they can win in the trenches, once I said in the last segment, Brant, why not Detroit? Why not Detroit? I know I'm giving Niners the flowers right now, but do I think this team is beatable? I do. Did I watch them be down a touchdown to a Packers team that was kind of the feel good, oh wow, story of the NFC? I did. Now they won that game to their credit, but they're beatable. And I mean, the Lions are beatable as well, obviously. But I just think that I'm not going into this game being like, oh man, we'll be lucky to beat the Niners. Like, I don't feel like it's that. I don't feel like we're playing the Georgia, right, of college football in like 2021 or whatever. I think the Niners are a beatable team. What else do you see from the Lions that sticks out to you? And actually, who are the key players that you think are going to need to step up to have the kind of game that's going to, on both sides of the football for the Lions, that will be the difference makers and could lead them to a win over the Niners? Who are those guys for you, Brant?
Well, Dave, I hate to come out here and just state the obvious, but this is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery's finest moment, I think. I think that whoever wins the rushing battle is going to win this game. I think this is going to be a little bit more old school, slobber knocker, knockdown, drag out kind of affair here. Both of these teams feel like they want to run the ball. Both of these teams want to establish the line of scrimmage. And that's what championship games should come down to, right? I believe that the running game for the Lions is better than overall than what the 49ers bring to the table. But you have to remember how they use Christian McCaffrey. It is a completely different beast than how they use Deebo Samuel. It's a lot of screen stuff. It's a lot of eye candy. And Kyle Shanahan, again, okay. This is Sean McVay tree, right? Like, Dan Campbell could easily get outcoached in this game. And that's one thing that is still real here, Dave. Like, there's going to be no team grittier than the Lions. There's going to be no team tougher than nails than the Lions. But that doesn't mean that that Kyle Shanahan hasn't seen something that he's already got schemed up, cooking up in the lab. Like, that's a dude that's a straight up genius to me. And I know Ben Johnson is the next wonderkin. I get that. And that's fantastic. And maybe he's already got something schemed up, but I love the Gibbs Montgomery train right now. Gibbs was fantastic on Sunday. I mean, just absolutely came out of his shell. But I do like how you touched on the 49ers defense earlier, because don't fool yourself. This Buccaneers defense is not even close to what you're going to see on Sunday in the 49ers defense. I don't think they're going to give way exactly how the Bucs gave up chunk plays on the ground to the Lions. However, I think they can be had, but you got to sustain drives, and if it gets into the fourth one and the 4th and 2s, we already know Dan's got the dice out. He's ready to roll, baby. So I think that's what it simply comes down to. And the 49ers beat a really good Packers team, and I can't believe I'm saying that, Dave, but that was a really good Packers team. By the end of the year, nobody wanted to play them. I think we'd be sitting here saying the same thing about the Packers if the Packers were coming to Ford Field. We wouldn't feel comfortable with that game. It would definitely be a toss-up type of game. So Jordan Love in the waning moments makes a terrible throw to cost that game and kind of gave the 49ers the win there. I don't expect Jared Goff to do anything silly like that. He's too seasoned of a guy. He's too smart to do something like that. And Jared Goff has had his bad moments. I understand that, but he is on a playoff run right now that he feels like he's oozing confidence. And I like that from the quarterback position. And I love the X factor of having Gibbs and Montgomery being able to outrush the 49ers. And I expect that to happen, actually.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be, look, I just think this is going to be a great game. I do. I think this is going to be a really great football game. I think it will be the game of the weekend between the two. I know people are excited to see Chiefs and Ravens and that matchup. I think this is the game of the weekend. I think the Lions are going to surprise some people. I think I don't want to call the 7-point spread disrespectful, but it feels slightly disrespectful because I think this Lions team is for real.